Hello, everybody. Wait, no, hang on. There we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Games Tavern Happy Hour. I'm Mac, and this week I'm joined with Rob for the first half.
Hello.
There we go. And I don't know if you all have been paying attention to what's going on right now, but there is a new Dungeons and Dragons release that I am personally very excited about. I'm confident that most of the people out there in the chat, there we go, in the chat are going to be super excited about it too. But it's Icewind Dale, right?
Yes.
So
I mean, it's Icewind Dale, but also secretly in the background, it's Rime of the Frostmaiden.
Very true. Very true. So I've been pouring over the actual books and stuff in there right now because I got them on D&D Beyond because unfortunately my friendly local game store is having some shipment issues. So my alt art cover's coming in later in the week, and then I'm going to just flip through it. It's going to be great. So we're just going to go and dive in here. Icewind Dale has released. Surprise, surprise. And we're going to try and do this as absolutely no spoilers as much as we can, just because it's, having read through it, it looks like an absolutely fantastic book. And we don't want to ruin anything for anybody. But to hype everybody on it, there's a couple of things that I think we can mention. So first up, the character creation is going to be tweaked just slightly. The big one is they actually, in the book, include the rules for Goliaths and recommend that they actually would sort of fit in that area. Now, have you ever played with or played a Goliath yourself there, Rob? I've never seen them.
So I have played in a D&D campaign that had a Goliath. I have personally never played a Goliath, however. Shout out to my buddy Josh, who played a very, very funny Goliath rogue.
Yeah, I heard he was a Goliath, like a mastermind or something like that?
Yeah. No, not a mastermind. He was an Inquisitor.
Inquisitor, okay. Yeah, I've heard about that campaign. It sounds like a very interesting character.
Yep.
But apparently Goliaths are sort of native to the Icewind Dale 10-town setting. So it could actually, so they do fit really well. One of the things that kind of annoys me about the various races and classes of Dungeons & Dragons is that they're scattered across like however many books is back there, plus a couple more. And them including things that are setting specific that are in another publication, that really does make me happy. I'm excited about it. I'll probably not play Goliath my first round, but who knows? I might. But there are rules in there for Goliaths. It talks about how you can try and fit them into the game and how you can make your PCs have a really good time with that one.
Yep. And it's good because the Forgotten Sink realms, is big enough for everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's nice for them to specifically place all of the new things to D&D in the Forgotten Realms so that you're not completely disconnected. Like, if they could get around to maybe defining where Warforged fall into Forgotten Realms, guys.
I don't know how that's going to fit in, but I'm excited to see them try.
Yep.
So Cuddle Sutra out there is saying that she DM'd a game where there was a Goliath barbarian. I could see how that would be a very good fit. For anybody who is not familiar, Goliaths they're like demi-giants, I guess.
They're giant-esque.
Yeah, they're really, really big humans.
Yeah.
And they're really cool. All the art I've seen of them is bald. I don't know if some of them have really long hair, but they're tanks. It's fantastic. And you can play with an Icewind Dale without having to pick up nothing.
I think they have hair. It's just that most of the characters go bald for some reason.
Yeah, who knows? But anyway, that's a thing you can play in Icewind Dale. Probably one of the most exciting things one of the things I'm most excited about for Icewind Dale is the idea of characters' secrets. If you haven't been following the stuff that's coming out, any of the leaks or teasers that we've talked about a couple times here on the show, one of the big things about Icewind Dale and Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden, is that it is going to be much more difficult on a variety of different levels. One of the things, we all know it's going to be a very, very harsh environment to be playing in. You're basically playing in the Arctic. It's going to be horrible.
Yeah. So one of the things that I did look at, because I was curious how they were going to try and go about this, is the environmental rules. The no spoiler takes is, this is new. What they're doing with environmental rules in Rime of the Frostmaiden is new for D&D.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out a way to get meaningful environmental rules into show notes here, because I want that
Yep.
surprise for the players when your DM drops an avalanche on you. And you're like, I don't
Yeah,
know what's happening.
no. So like this is the one thing that has never been good about D&D, and I'm sorry, this is very much my opinion, but my opinion is that it has never been D&D has never been good with environmental rules, and I think the root of that is that D&D has never been good with characters dealing with environments
Yeah, it's either take
other than
exhaustion or
dungeons.
don't.
Yeah.
So having looked at these, I think these are going to be pretty good. I think it will be a neat thing that I'm planning on throwing at some players to see where that goes. So the environmental rules are going to make the environment hostile and deadly. Having read through the adventure, just skimmed through it, that's going to be really hard for DMs to run. It's a very complicated kind of adventure. It's not nearly as linear as some of the stuff that they've already published. And I think the most linear out there is probably the Tyranny of Dragons. That's a pretty linear story once there's a couple free world spots. But that's pretty much a story of, hey, here's a hook, you go and do the thing, and that leads into more action.
Yep.
Rime of the Frost Maiden is kind of all over the place. So it's going to require the thinking DM to get out there and do this. And generally, in a hard fight like that, one of the things everybody can rely on are the relationships of the party, the cohesion that they've built up there.
Yeah. I don't, having glanced over this now, I don't think this is going to be a particular heavy lift for a moderately skilled DM. I think this is an adventure that is written well enough that it gives advanced DMs plenty of space to wander off into the wilderness, either literally or figuratively. But it also provides enough structure that the middling skill DMs that are just starting to get their craft honed and starting to get real experience with players being players under their belts can manage it no problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to throw this on someone who just finished up running like the Essentials kit.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
no,
if you are just finishing Minds of the Fandelver or Horde of the Dragon Queen, this is probably going to be a bit demanding for you as a DM, unless you've got obviously more DM experience than that. But at the same time, I think that it is close to the appropriate stepping stone. I think it's very close.
Yeah, probably not the hardest thing I've ever seen run, but I think it might be one of the hardest things I've seen pushed out by Wizards of the Coast. Which, hey, I like that they're kicking that up there. But trying to get back on topic, they were talking about the character secrets here are actually built to add an additional layer of difficulty for the party, and that's actually a social level of difficulty, not against NPCs, but against the actual other players.
So this is one of the things, and I'm sorry, Mac, I'm getting on my fan of fourth edition stool here.
Okay, I'll get
it is not good enough to be a soapbox, my friend. It is just a stool. One of the things that the D&D has a history of is underrepresenting, misrepresenting what the game can do well in terms of social interaction support. And I'm very, very excited to see Wizards introducing a mechanic that is focused on enhancing the social aspects of the game.
Yeah.
And Cuddle Suture is correct. I have irrational affection for 4th edition. Part of that is that I have played an entire campaign from 1st to 30th in 4th edition. And the other part of it is, I loved MMO mechanics. So it was right up my alley.
Gross. But Cuddle Suture also just asked, how does it compare in complexity to Tomb of Annihilation? I don't know. Tomb of Annihilation
for the person running it, right?
Yeah.
Is that the question? I just want to be clear.
So, yeah. I honestly don't know. Tomb of Annihilation is on my short list of do not crack open this book because I want to play in it. That and Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So also Dragon Heist.
I'm gonna say it's about the same. I mean, Tomb of Annihilation from a DM perspective is about managing encounters for the players.
Yeah. It's a hex crawl, so if you know how to do that, you can, that's where the skills come in.
Yeah. And I mean, Tomb of Annihilation is the same thing, except that it's not a hex crawl; it's a dungeon crawl. But if you run them into encounters too fast, they're gonna die. So
I thought Tomb of Annihilation was a hex crawl between dungeons, is it not?
I haven't played the modern version, so.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, you're thinking the Tomb of Horrors.
Oh no, I'm probably thinking the Temple of Elemental Evil, but yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. We have too much gaming knowledge here. Anyway, character secrets. Let's try and focus. So yeah, the character secrets are some really cool things. Basically, the mechanic is at the beginning of the game you assign, or you can even cut out and print up and then cut out some cards that you hand out to your players randomly, and all of them have secrets. We're not going to go into too many of them because again, don't want to have spoilers. But two of them that have hit the internet and are really kind of super popular is a party member can be a doppelganger, and there are actually rules in the game for how to run a doppelganger player character. Uh, that's really cool. I'm really hoping that we'll be able to see that kind of mechanic in maybe in Tasha's. We'll see doppelganger as a playable race. That said, check with your DM because that's a doppelganger can be really really bad time for an unprepared DM there. So don't bring that to like Adventurers League. But it does provide some really really cool roleplay mechanics. They were saying that there are certain NPCs you could doppelgang into. Doppelgang's a verb now, or even party members. So could be some cool stuff. And then
I'm not sure the doppelganger is a verb now, but yeah, we'll go.
no, it
We'll
is.
roll with
It's
that.
happening. Well, if a doppelganger is one who doppelgangs, hit us up in the chat, guys. Let us know how right I am. And then the other one that I think Cuddle Sutra is going to be super excited about is Owlbear Whisperer is your secret. So it does exactly what it says on the tin. If you play your secret card, or use there's an ability that's affiliated with it, you can basically walk up and be like, hey, psst, 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 hey there, owlbear, hey, and all of a sudden you have yourself an owlbear companion. It's going to be great. And having looked at the rules for Snowy Owlbear, they're fantastic.
So we already know what secret max characters we'll have when we play this, but
Yeah, I honestly have no intention of playing this anytime soon. I'm planning on running the hell out of it.
yeah.
But this one's out there for Cuddle Sutra. There is in the the creature description about owlbears, or about snowy owlbears in particular. It says they don't run, they don't walk. When they're walking across or going across the icy tundra looking for food, they are galumphing. So, just that's in the book. It's canon now. Owlbears galumph. There are also some new magic spells. There's a 9th level spell and a 7th level spell, which we won't get into because they are kind of spoilerific and don't want to ruin that for everybody.
Yeah, and also, let's be honest, the number of people that will ever actually get those for a game that is not Rime of the Frostmaiden is going to be very, very low.
Even for Rime of the Frostmaiden, because it caps out at 12. So unless you're having
Yeah.
a DM who's going way off book, it's going to be hard. But one of them that I'm kind of excited about is Frost Fingers, is what they're calling it. It's a cold burning hands. It does cold damage and it freezes liquids as opposed to igniting flammable materials. Otherwise, it's burning hands. That's fantastic. And of course, it's a new setting, so there's also going to be some new magic items. We've all seen the pictures out there of the Scroll of Tarask summoning. I can 100% confirm it is in fact in the book. Basically, summon a Tarask somewhere within a mile of you and walk away whistling, I guess. Not my problem. And then there's also an item that I just love because of the name. It's called the Abracadabrus, which is basically a chest that has like D20 charges on it. And for one charge, you can summon inside the chest a cheap magic item, anything under a gold that doesn't have any magical capability.
So what you're saying is that it's a chest of infinite food and water.
It is, except if you run out of charges, you roll a d20 on a 1, it basically dies. It stops working. So I think
So
this
it's
is
a chest of almost infinite
almost
food and
infinite.
water.
I think this is probably going to be something that they introduce mid or early mid game to give the characters a way. All right, you've done the cold mechanics, you've dealt with that stuff. Now you have a chest of infinite warm food. So I think it's going to be really, really cool. And there's a bunch of other really awesome magic items that are just way too cool to not spoil on you guys. I don't want to throw that out there. But out there in the chat, if any of the stuff we've gone over, what's your thing that you're most excited about here? I'm just honestly looking forward to all of it. I was planning on sleeping tonight, but that's going to change. So I'm going to be going through Rime of the Frostmaiden. So sort of staying on topic, we have D&D Celebration this weekend. It is...
Yes.
Yeah. You want to take point on this one, Rob?
You know what? Let me go ahead and do that, because as much as I'm sure you're excited about this, I am as well. So they just posted their entire panel schedule, I think yesterday?
Yeah, it was either yesterday or like late Monday.
Yeah, late Sunday. Yeah. Or yeah.
Time is meaningless now.
Yes, correct. Late Sunday or yesterday. I'm pretty sure it was yesterday.
Right.
So one of the things that they're going to have is they're going to have Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford taking questions about Rime of the Frostmaiden and Tasha's Cauldron, which I think is going to get a little bit wild, just because the mechanics that are being introduced in both of them are out of the ordinary for D&D. It's a stretch for D&D. And then they're also going to have the panel that everybody wants to master, which is how to become a D&D designer.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. I think it's a whole bunch of the DMs Guild people are coming on and saying how they approach stuff. I'm going to try and tune in for that one.
So I mean, let me be 100% clear. The good DMs Guild designers are really, really excellent game masters who have a lot to teach you about how to run games. So I think that panel where some of the best come on and talk about their methodologies could really help somebody who's looking to grow as a dungeon master, looking to grow as a game master. For the people that are old and moldy, like it should still be interesting, just because getting some insight into how other people approach their prep is always useful, because it can change your prep for the better, but usually it's less useful than if I was trying to grow as a DM.
Yeah, seeing how other people kind of work behind the screen, I think, is it's kind of a good.
It's not even behind the screen, because we're not even talking like how do you DM at the table. We're talking about how do you prep to run a game.
Okay, yeah, that works.
So,
although and I pulled this off the next one, there is definitely the behind the screen how the people are DMing, which should be interesting, right?
Yeah. So that's the big one, I guess, in terms of being known for running games, is Travis McElroy. You can learn a lot from watching Travis run games, but I will be honest with you, what you learned the most is how to manage an unruly family.
No, I mean, that's important. Sometimes you got to just herd some cats at the gaming table. There's looking at that. We have Travis McElroy, who I honestly don't know who that is, but you do. Brennan Lee Milligan, which is one of the guys from, I think, collegehumor.com. Yeah, I think he's actually running a D&D stream on there, which is cool. The only other name in this list that I recognize is Deborah Ann Woll. And
the actor
from Daredevil. Yeah, the actress from Daredevil. And then there's also Satine Phoenix and B. Dave Walters, neither of which names, unfortunately, really mean anything for me there.
Yeah, and this is just one of those things. It's like I am never going to know all of the people that are in this industry, and other people will. So there should be a DM to suit every taste at that round table.
Yeah, hopefully.
But the last one, and I this really depends on how much of a nerd you are, and Mac is a very big nerd, so this is going to excite him. They're going to do the Inside the D&D Studio discussion, where they talk about what the future of D&D design and planning looks like.
Yeah, I think that'll be cool. Just whenever major developers, whether it's these Wizards of the Coast or Privateer Press or Paizo or Games Workshop or anybody says like, hey, this is where we're going with our properties and where we're going to start pushing out. I always get really excited about that, just because it's cool. It's universes I love. I like seeing what they're doing with them. And then get 3 years of like, when's it coming out? But there is also
When's
going
it
to be
coming out is of course the
yeah.
key question with all products. You know, I like Wizards' new release schedule because it's snappy enough that I'm not sitting there going, it's 3 years until product X is out. But at the same time, it's also not so huge that I go, oh my god, I don't have any more money.
Yeah, that is fair. I am a big fan of like the quarterly release for major things. That works nicely because like okay,
Yep.
I can drop $50 every couple of months, and then spend the rest of it on dice. So much dice.
Yep. Again, like these things, everybody goes, how am I supposed to afford all these things? And the answer is you, as a individual single person, are not supposed to afford all of the things.
You find a rich
You're
DM.
yes. Find a rich DM who's going to spend all of their money on your group. No,
I'm still
you as a
waiting.
group, you ameliorate the cost by splitting up the purchases.
Yeah,
Um,
and
that's how it's traditionally done.
yeah, and in most situations, I know I'm not a standard collector. If you buy a campaign book like Rime with the Frost Maiden, that will last you guys 2 years, maybe, depending on how fast you guys level. If you're playing a couple hours every week, yeah, you can to get to level 12 can be 2 or 3 years, and you have 2 or 3 years of campaigning going on. That's a huge deal for $50.
Yeah, no. Again, uh, having looked at Rime of the Frost Maiden and looked at the specific, like I said, I was most interested in seeing what they were going to do for environmental rules because my pet peeve with D&D has always been it's been bad at environmental rules. But there's a whole bunch of interesting mechanics in there, and like I said, they're really starting to stretch away from, I don't want to say the comfort zone, but like what we've traditionally associated with D&D
Yeah,
rules wise.
yeah, sort of spreading out what was in our toolbox, and I like that. I'm not a huge
Yeah.
fan of chasing down third-party supplements to do something that Wizards of the Coast should have done initially. And I'm
Yep.
glad to see that they're fitting that. Now, before we finish on the D&D celebration, there are a couple of live games going out there that are worth checking out. There is a Acquisition Incorporated game. That's Friday. Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific, so midnight. So catch it on VOD if you're on the East Coast. Uh, what's the other one there? Rivals of Waterdeep is the other one that I recognize on the Friday one. And
Yep.
then Saturday is going to have Viva La Dirt / Dragon Friends. Viva La Dirt are those guys that do a lot of like video game PUBG kind of videos on the internet. I find their stuff funny, so I'm probably going to be tuning into that one. I think it'll be good.
Yeah. I'm old, so I enjoy stuff that's old.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey, these are all adults. I like this.
Yeah.
And then other than that, I don't recognize any of the other games. Realmsmith, if you guys know who that is. Dice Stormers, Night of the Evening Star, and High Rollers for Sunday. Check them out, I guess.
Yeah. So things like Celebration are a great opportunity to encounter new parts of the hobby
Yeah,
that you haven't previously. So definitely explore.
yeah, I'm going to try and break into that. I haven't figured out what the deal is with live streaming games yet, so maybe I'll watch some of these and see how that actually works. Because,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I'm on one. I should probably figure out how to enjoy the watching of them.
It so the fun thing is that like one of my favorite interviews with LeVar Burton, somebody asked him, um, "What's your favorite episode of The Next Generation?" And LeVar Burton looks at him. He says, "I've only seen about 8 episodes."
Yeah, it's like don't follow your own work there. That's
He said, I hate watching myself work. Like that,
yeah,
there was a pause there, and then he explained, I hate watching myself work, and I'm busy. Like I have a lot of actual work to do. So
that is fair.
yeah, but I think that's true of a lot of people. Like you do something, but you don't necessarily want to do or participate in or watch the thing that you do when you're not at work.
Yeah, yeah, I know. There's a few actors who do that kind of thing. It's like, oh yeah, like I think it's Jack Nicholas or no, Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson, the golfer. Jack Nicholson, or yeah, didn't really watch. I think Chinatown, one of the greatest movies ever. He's like, no, I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, he's never seen it.
It's
Yes,
like, oh, okay.
famously has never seen it.
Yeah. But if you guys want to check out the D&D celebration, I just dropped a link in the chat there,
Yeah.
and you all can check that out. And we can,
So
yeah.
now that we're completely off schedule, let's just roll further. So no major D&D Beyond updates this week.
No, there's a lot of
Which,
work in progress stuff.
yeah, not surprising. I mean, they're just dropping two major books in the next few weeks. So
Yeah.
expect more things in the future.
Well, I think that the thing I'm most excited about there is actually going to be the what is it? Completely blanking on the name of it at this point. The random encounter generator, because just not having to figure out encounters that are balanced at the current CR level. I like that. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. It hopefully it will work better than the tables of old.
Hopefully, and I think that
Yeah.
it seems like something that you could easily figure out with just automating in a table.
Yep.
But who knows at this point? I think it'll be just generally interesting to check out.
Yep.
Otherwise, I don't think there's a whole lot of stuff happening in D&D Beyond this week, which is fine. You know, they don't need to have something wild every time. The digital dice roller for the app is coming, but otherwise, not a whole lot. Just Rime of the Frost Maiden is live now, though, so you can check it out on D&D Beyond. And I'm going to go ahead and take the next point of news because this is something I'm
I think so.
super excited about. So you all know WizKids makes the Red Dragon and the Mind Flayer trophies that are pretty freaking big. And you can mount them on your wall, and it looks like you yourself went on an exciting adventure. Well, one that I am very, very excited about is the not recently announced, but they've given us a little more details on the Owlbear trophy. And I just so happen to have a picture of it right here. Boom, there we go. And it covers up Rob, so that works. It is pretty freaking big. Here, I'll move it over so it covers up me, so I'm not...
It's fine. Nobody's here for my face.
Yeah. So it's pretty big. They're saying it's like 18 by 16 or something like that, and it weighs 16 to 18 pounds. It's super heavy. But having actually, for a while I owned one of the Mind Flayer trophies. They are very, very nice. I just had nowhere to hang it, so I got rid of it. But the Owlbear one is going to be really cool. I think that's going to be... Okay, we can go and get...
So, as much as I appreciate this, and I appreciate this a lot, the idea of having a giant owl head hanging on the wall is, to me, pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I'm thinking about trying to make one, or make like a dragon trophy or something, just to have something unique. But if you are, or someone that you care about is really into owlbears, you can order one soon. It's not up for pre-order yet, and it is going for the handsome sum of $450, releasing in January. $449.99 is the technical price there. So if you are, check it out. They're cool stuff. But my favorite part about it is it comes with a warning of super heavy, recommend professional installation. I'm not going to get a professional to come in my house and be like, hey, can you hang this on my wall, please?
What does super heavy mean? Are we talking like 25, 30 pounds? Are we talking much?
It's about 17 pounds.
Yeah.
So you have to mount it in a stud, is exactly what it says.
Right. That's why they recommend a professional.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Yeah, because, by the way, we're laughing, but we're both old enough to know someone who's ripped their wall apart hanging something that's way too heavy from a not stud position. So please don't do that.
If you own, I guess it's a lesson on how to do some drywalling. If you rent, say goodbye to your security deposit.
Yeah. So max excitement about a giant owlbear trophy, which admittedly looks cool. Aside, the D&D costumes and accessories for Halloween. Oh my god, I am a child again.
I'm so excited.
The Dungeon Master costume.
Yes. Like, why is that a thing anybody wants to wear? And I also want to wear it now.
Exactly. Like, why would anyone want to wear that? We're old now, and to us, the idea of being the Dungeon Master is funny.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that are not ancient and did not have the privilege of getting to watch the original D&D cartoon on Saturday morning TV, the cartoon had a whole bunch of kids transported into a fantasy world, very isekai, very 1980s. But there was randomly a character who was literally called the Dungeon Master, who just showed up to basically screw with the players.
Yeah, pretty much.
The heroes. Um, famously, he is the character that if you see a it's magic, I don't have to explain shit. That is the dungeon master.
Yeah.
That meme is the dungeon master, and that is an actual line that the character says without any swear words because it was a 1980s.
Yeah, it's magic.
Saturday
I don't have to
morning
explain
cartoon.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So they are releasing a costume for it. There's also costumes for Dritz and someone named Caddy D, who I don't know.
Caddy
who that-
Bree.
Caddy Bree. There we go.
Yeah,
I don't know
Drit's
who
wife.
that is. But the Dungeon Master is the one that I think is probably the best. In fact, I happen to have a picture. This is straight off of the Spirit Halloween website. Here you go, guys. You can look like that. Oh, it's so fantastic. I love it so much.
Yeah. Again, you know, if you are of an age to have watched this cartoon on television, which was the only way to watch it because we didn't have things like the internet back then, this character is burned
Iconic.
into your brain.
Yeah.
Burned into your brain. So, it's a joke that parents will find immensely amusing, and kids won't understand at all. They'll be like, "Old people are weird."
Yeah, I think it's only an adult costume, so I'm assuming that the target audience here is someone who has kids around 6 to 7 years old who want to dress up as like a knight and a dragon. It's like, yeah. Let's do this, or a princess. And it's like, yeah, okay, done.
Yeah.
But there is also mugs, keychains, and like weapons and stuff out there too. So if you want to expand your, with D&D flavored weapons, okay.
Yep.
If you want yourself some cool keychains, all right, cool. That's awesome. I think I'm kind of excited about the mugs though. I like nerdy mugs.
I just dropped that link into
perfect.
the chat for all of you folks who are interested in actually seeing that more directly and actually probably acquiring things that are not Dungeon Master costumes, although
I mean, honestly,
knowing our crowd, probably a lot of Dungeon Master costumes will be acquired.
I think if we buy that for Reed, we can bully him into wearing it for the Halloween episode.
I think he would probably be more likely to wear the Dritz costume.
Yeah, that seems more like his style.
So.
Yeah, but now before we break, there is one last piece of news that you sent me earlier today.
Yep.
That you take the lead on this one, buddy.
Because we hate your wallet so much. This is actually a pre-Kickstarter announcement that I received because I am a super nerd.
Yeah, how did you find this?
Stargate is one of my all-time favorite things of all time. And there is a new Stargate tabletop RPG in production that they're going to kickstart probably Friday, if I had to guess.
I think that they're saying it's going to be launching in early October.
Okay, yeah. So they'll kickstart it in October.
Which could be Friday. I honestly don't know what day it is.
No, it's not Friday. Well,
okay.
it could be a Friday,
just
not this
one.
Here's the thing. There have been two Stargate tabletop role-playing games. And they were both good. This is the thing that really perplexes me. So Stargate is kind of famous for being a little bit, pulpy.
Yeah, but who doesn't love pulp?
Yeah, right. But I mean, that's what it is. Fundamentally, the show is, a pulp adventure, ridiculousness. But it has spawned so far 2 RPGs that are in no way, anything beyond the scope of the show, which is, pulp adventure with the Stargate as your mechanism, or literally your doorway to adventure. So I'm very, very excited about a new Stargate RPG, hopefully with post-1990s mechanics, with things like action points.
We've learned
again,
a lot of
not
stuff
because
in
I
20 years.
can't update a game myself, because not having to do all that work is nice.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Yeah.
This is Wyvern Games, isn't it?
Yes, Wyvern Games, who are a small outfit that is, really known for their card games more than tabletop RPGs. Yeah. But I still have faith because Stargate is so good, and the history of Stargate RPGs is so good.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting time. They also have a new a website that's up there now. I'll go ahead and throw that out there in the chat. Boom. So you can check that out. If you want more information, you can sign up for their, what are they calling it? The Stargate program, at which point they will notify you on October 6th when it launches.
Yep.
So I think this could be really cool. I'm not a huge Stargate fan. I've only seen a couple episodes, honestly. But I think it'll be it's a really rich world from everything I remember about it. So I'm excited.
Well, I mean, it's infinite worlds, which is sort of the advantage that it has. So like, back in the dark ages of role playing, we would do stuff like break out Dark Sun and run instead of running straight Dark Sun, we would run, John Carter of Mars.
Yeah.
It gives you enough room to do that while also snarkily, giving everybody a P90 to shoot things with.
Overall, the solid game, I think. Or game premise.
Again, I haven't seen anything beyond the announcement, but the history of Stargate RPGs is actually really, really good, especially compared to most licensed products.
Yeah.
So.
I have heard good things about, I think, the last edition. I'm hoping it was the last edition. Otherwise, I have very, very old friends. So I think it could be really cool. Again, that's launching on October 6th, and we'll probably feature it in the next... in the October edition of the Kickstarter Roundup. I think will probably be fair to let everyone know it's there. All right, so it is 7:40. We're going to take a quick, probably about a 10-minute break here just to reset, because after the break, we're going to have a couple people moving around, and more importantly, we're going to have Stefan from the heist and a couple other things coming in. So everybody get excited. We're going to be talking about the heist with the guy who plays the giant cat man that you see in there. Orias, I believe is his name.
Yes. Orias.
Orias, there we go. Yeah, I thought it was Orias, but I'm bad at this. So yeah, we'll be back in about 10 minutes, guys. Everybody out there, we'll see you shortly. There we go. Hey everybody, welcome back. As you can see, we had slight cast change going on here. We have Reed down in the corner down there, but far more importantly, tonight we're going to be speaking with Stefan, who's going to be who works on The Heist, which is the great show that they've been running for up on the 3rd episode coming up in a couple weeks, and also does Paradise RPG. But we'll get into that kind of stuff in a bit. But first off, welcome, Stefan. I think this is your first time on a non-one-shot, right? Here for us with the Games Tavern. Sorry.
Yes. Sorry. No. This is my first time hanging out with Games Tavern. Fun, chilling.
We're not on a stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to have you. I've been watching The Heist, and you're one of my 5 favorite people up there. So
Nice save. Yeah.
So to kick this off, just generally tell us a little bit about yourself. What do our audience need to know to get into the mind of the mind behind the Catman?
Well, I like D&D.
Okay.
Oh, that unites us all, right? Yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm with Paradise RPG. I play Elven Cleric, Kieran. Always my go-to in any MMO, support, healer, which leads into I'm a huge gamer. You name a game, probably played it. As long as it's like post 2000. But yeah, I mean, professionally, I'm an archaeologist. I do cultural resource management, so that I run my own home campaign, and as my friends that play in it can tell you, like it's very kind of like cultural centric almost, and like kind of exploring, digging up the past and stuff like that, which lends itself really well to D&D.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Favorite aspect about D&D is the exploration, getting out there, looking through things, and and I guess that's what really influences Arias, the character. He's a treasure hunter extraordinaire, so like
very cool. Well, that does kind of tie into the next question I was going to have on. You say you're an archaeologist. Are you like the Indiana Jones kind of archaeologist, running through dungeons and caves and finding priceless cultural artifacts and bringing them up to because they belong in a museum?
Of course, yeah. No, I agree with the British method of taking everyone else's stuff and putting it in their home. This is your artifact. I forget who does it. Someone does a great bit where it's like, this is your artifact, but you have to pay to see it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, we're a little less glamorous. In CRM, we do testing, cultural resource management testing. So, fun law facts for you folks out there. Section 106 of the Historic Preservation Act requires any construction using federal funding to be tested for remains. Cultural, whether that's archaeological, prehistory, or historical. So my job is to get in there, test the site. We're actually, I think I can say, we were just in Agawam, Mass, where Six Flags is, for those who are around New England.
Yeah.
And we found a site, prehistoric. So it's really cool, the things that you read about or watch on Discovery. We do that just to a lesser extent,
Yeah, it's really cool. That's I have nothing else. That sounds really cool. I would love to be able to do that kind of stuff.
Very lucky to have gotten the job, but I enjoy it.
So how did you end up getting into the whole RPG kind of field? Because I imagine archaeology kind of rubs up against sort of the nerdier side of the spectrum up there. So was this always a thing that you've been doing, playing in RPGs, D&D and such, or this is new hobby?
It's newer for me. So there's actually we have a crew of archaeologists, and one of the significant others was like, all archaeologists are just like buff nerds with a drinking problem. Like we all kind of have the same thing, because we're buff because buff is a strong word, but we're digging holes most of the day. We're nerds because that just lends itself to that kind of field. And then most archaeologists drink. But no, D&D was actually, I was in grad school a few years ago, and D&D was always on my periphery. Like I had friends in high school that didn't, but that did it. I didn't quite get in there. College, I knew people that played. but like it never really meshed. And finally in grad school, it's like, no, let's do this. So I
With that
DM.
overabundance of time you
You
had
s-
as a
wait,
grad
wait.
student.
Yeah.
Wait, you started like your first game. You were the dungeon master.
Yeah.
Wow,
Good
feet
lord.
first, man. Feet first.
I mean,
Someone has to do it, right?
Yeah, someone does.
exactly. And you know, I'm a person that I don't like always being in charge, but when I can be, you know, it's not too shabby. But yeah, so I jumped in, DM'd, loved it with some friends. Some of them like enjoyed it, but they're like, this is a little too much for us. And I was like, okay. So new group, started another campaign, and then you know, I don't know. Do you want the whole Paradise story real quick? It's basically just like
Yeah,
my
why
buddy's
not?
friend was like, one of my friends, Tim. Hey Tim, you're not out there, but love you. He was like, yo, you're a forever DM for a year. Do you want to be a player? And I was like, yeah, please. And then just slotted my way right in.
And that's how you got on the show that you're on now.
Yeah, no trial or anything like that. You know, our DM Sean was just like, we need people, and I was like, I'm a person.
I fit all
Are
your
you sure?
qualifications.
Are you sure you're a humanoid that's self-aware and? Okay.
No,
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm told that I am.
Fair enough.
All right.
Now,
All right.
with jumping in for just starting as a DM for Dungeons and Dragons, had you done any other role-playing games? Did you have any other kind of RPG or even just like improv experience, or was that just from the word go, you had to figure it out from the fly?
I mean, I'd have a bit of experience, you know, in high school and stuff. I was not a theater kid, but I did theater for a year. And I may or may not have been the lead actor in my senior play, not trying to brag or anything. I am trying to brag. I was the lead actor.
You got some natural talent.
What was the play?
Or at least you think you do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that, Mac?
What was the play? That'll be the judge on whether or not it's.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a bad play because we could have, you know, it was one of those things where it's here's one of those free plays that some, you know, probably grad student wrote. It was Murder in a Knife Room.
Murder in a Knife Room.
Yes.
Catchy title.
Actually, I don't know if this is true or not, but I kind of think that shoot, what's that Ryan Johnson movie he just did? Knives Out.
Knives Out. Okay.
I don't know if it's directly related to Murder in a Knife Room, but like there's a lot of similar motifs.
Just sort of
and Murder in a Knife Room was written, you know, at least a decade ago. So, not trying to say Ryan Johnson's ripping off some, you know, underpaid grad student, but I'm calling it here, folks. Ryan, if you're listening, I enjoyed The Last Jedi. I thought it was good. I really did.
I have no idea what's happening anymore.
Well,
Sorry.
he's breaking the fourth wall right now,
Okay.
and that's a theater technique that's often used to talk to the audience directly, as if you're letting them in on a secret. And right now, he's really hoping to make some points with the guy who just made The Last Jedi.
Like calling out Ryan Johnson. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're laying
You
down.
know, well, hopefully it works. I'd like to see him in some more roles. You know, we could see that with that mustache everywhere we go.
Yeah.
Twirl those handlebars,
Thanks.
brother. Twirl those handlebars.
Bringing it back, baby.
So let's segue here. As much as I appreciate talking about Ryan Johnson's work, so like, why are you still playing RPGs? Especially having come into tabletop gaming as a forever GM, which is a great way to get out of tabletop gaming.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry, did you just ask the question why I would still be playing TTRPGs?
Yes,
Because
it's a
besides
stupid
the
question,
fact-
but
Besides the fact that they're just so much fun and amazing. I mean, escapism, like let's be real.
Yeah,
Here's 2020, folks. World's literally burning. No, sorry, I'm not gonna get that deep on you guys. I mean, no, it's just a lot of fun. Like, you know, I gamed a lot. I was a huge gamer all through college, high school, everything. But, you know, there's just that itch that a video game doesn't get. You know, like you can be in there and playing, but you're like, no, I want my guy or girl or whatever. I want my character to do this. And games don't always have that option. D&D does. D&D, you can do whatever you want, you know, to a degree, as long as your DM believes in the rule of cool. But yeah, it's just and then being able to create stories with friends and connections and stuff. I mean, like meeting cool people like Reed and Anna and everyone. Yeah,
I don't know that I'd list me as the cool people, but okay.
that's fair.
Kind of the
Meeting
adult.
you guys.
What keeps the passion going in all this gaming? I mean, like as Rob asked, like you've continued to do it, but like as you go through and you start to, because even when you get that itch, right? You know that itch comes and goes, and you've probably been playing for more than a little moment, right?
Yeah.
So
years,
as you work on that creativeness and you go through and then you have those lulls, what is it that helps you pump it back up and bring the energy that I know you bring to a game?
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Honestly, the community that I've been interacting. I mean, to be fair, I really don't interact that much. I'm a lurker. I love, I'm on subreddit all the time, or on Reddit and Twitter on those subreddits, and just watching what people say, and just seeing, how it brings them together, and that just makes me kind of excited.
Which
Seeing
which subreddit are you like a big fan of?
DM Academy, and then I am a huge Matt Colville fan, if anyone's familiar.
Yeah. Oh,
Running the game was how I started DMing.
Really?
Okay.
When my friends were like, "Let's do this," I was like, "Okay, YouTube, how to dungeon master."
And fortunately, YouTube is smart enough to send people to Matt Colville, who is a fantastic teacher in the methodologies of running the game.
And why we
He's-
do things the way we do them.
I mean, and I was a huge Mercenaries 1 and 2 fan. And Evolve. Oh my god, Evolve. I was so sad when they dropped those servers. Me and my friends were on there constantly. But yeah, so it's, things like that. And then even, I dip my toes in a Critical Role. Matthew Mercer is amazing too. All these kind of, I feel weird saying like S tier DMs, but like those faces of the community, if you will.
Yeah,
the
ones
people,
everybody knows.
right? And just like seeing the positivity and everything that they give and stuff. It's hard not to like start looking through this community and be like, heck yeah, I want to stay a part of this. Like, I want to keep playing and meeting people.
Yeah, I love Matt Colville, not just for his videos, but for his attitude towards how he manages the community, which is basically stop fighting with each other, you dinguses. Everybody wants to do the same thing. Wang rods, yes, wang
that's
rods.
it, yeah.
Everybody wants to do the same things in the same ways. So you all agree about something fundamentally. He's like focused on what you agree about.
Right.
With that said, I would not want to play in a game that Matt DMs.
I don't want my character to die.
Exactly. But at the same time, like, yes, Mac would love to play in one of Matt's games. Matt, if you're watching, Mac would love to play in one of your games.
Hit me up.
But what he has to teach people about running D&D specifically, but also games in general, is and the fact that he's working hard to share that information is huge.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever done any other games, whether running or on the the player side of the screen? Or is
So actually, you had I forgot to mention this earlier. So my buddy actually introduced me to tabletop RPGs, using the Genesis system.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, nice.
And he kind of used it to make his own kind of thing. It was based on, I forget the author's name, but it was called Powder Mages. The setting was Napoleonic Wars, where you use gunpowder to fuel magic.
Yep.
Awesome concept.
I know what you're talking about.
He did some, huh?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I have a friend who keeps being like, you have to read this.
Right. It's on my long
You
list.
have to read that.
Not you. It's a different history nerd friend I have.
Right, but that was my first introduction, and it was cool. We only played a few sessions, and then he was like, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing." And I was like, "I thought it was fun." But yeah, so I've done the Genesis system, with the Star Wars RPGs by Fantasy Flights. I've used the Fate system, and then 5e, but that's it.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. So 5e is where you started as on the D&D scale, right?
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah, that's it's a great place to be starting, especially when if you're starting as a dungeon master, it's pretty straightforward. So that's
they kind of spoon feed you the rules. They're like, here you go, it's okay, you don't need to know everything at once. And I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
It's a very forgiving system.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest. I think it's probably one of the biggest things that's contributed to the popularity of not just 5th edition, but the overall RPG hobby right now, is that
Mhm.
the
Right.
biggest game is so easy to get into.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that we learned since 1998 is that the ease of preparation for the game master is probably the most important factor in whether your game is going to get played. The easier you make it on the person running the game, the more likely it is that they're going to want to run the game, the more likely it is the game is going to get played.
Yeah, user adoption rates are huge in
Yep.
game development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
As
hadn't
well
thought
as
of
session
that. That's a-
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more I have to look up something in a rule book to actually just get through a normal session, the less likely I am to want to continue playing it. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that can be.
So let me ask you this, Stefan. You've been around the community long enough to have seen most of the big RPG debates. Do you have a position in any of those that you feel really strongly about?
I try not to have too strong of opinions in public because I fear confrontation.
Okay, we're just gonna have to ask him direct questions then. XP or milestone?
Depends. You're streaming, you do milestone. Come on,
See,
like
Reed.
it's streaming is about the narrative, right? Like let's make that very clear. Like if you're streaming D&D, I mean, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah,
Own,
DM Maxter.
I just don't
but-
level you up. I kill you at 0. Problem solved.
I mean, in
If
my
you never
home
level up,
campaigns,
no big deal.
right? In my home campaigns, I always run XP. I like that feel much better. I will say, actually, for my home campaigns, you don't roll your stats. I do my own thing where it's pool of 72. You put them in wherever you want. You build the character you want to play.
72?
Yeah, so that equals out to 12 across the board because 12 across the board is,
Above
you know,
average,
so
though.
like in those base attributes. You know,
Yeah.
I consider 12 across the board as your average hero.
Instead of a point by, it's direct point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
pretty similar. It gets you
Yeah,
some
because
numbers.
27 is the normal point by, and then you said 72, so I was like, what?
Yeah, sorry.
Everybody's like, God.
Whenever I say point by, people get very confused. But yeah,
Yes.
that's
27 is the normal point by. It's really 30. 27.
Okay, next critical question. When you roll a critical hit, do you double the dice, or do you roll the dice and just double the amount?
Or do you draw from the critical hit deck?
You guys wanted hard-hitting questions. This is as good as it gets.
There's
Type of
so
show.
The
many good ways
worst
to
question ever because nobody, don't mess with critical hits. They are perfect. They are the only perfect mechanic in D&D. Just
Hey,
don't
quick,
do it, people.
Do you
I like
do
the
roll
movement
twice the
mechanic.
dice, or do you just roll the dice and then double what you get?
I actually usually just kind of when people are like, oh, critical hit, and I'm like, yeah, just give me your damage and hope that they know what they're doing. Because when I was first running it, I remember encountering that situation where like I read the rules and I was like, do you just double it or do you roll? Oh, okay. I
Roll
think you just
twice.
roll a second hit dice, but do you add your proficiency to that second roll? It wasn't. I just recall like it wasn't super clear. So usually it's just roll the 2 damage dice, add proficiency.
We'll get you a player's handbook later on.
Oh, Reed, you have to read Richard's question.
That's
What do we got here?
VI or email.
VI or Emax with what?
I don't know what any of that means. Do you, in your home campaigns, how do you feel about fumbles?
What do you mean? Like in a football game?
Critical ones.
Do you not know what fumbles
Oh,
are?
critical ones, yes.
Yeah.
So I started playing when I first started. I was like, all right, critical, a 20 means critical hit, a 1 means critical fail. You break your weapon if you're attacking. Or, like something
Yeah,
bad
something
happens.
right?
It depends. Sometimes it's, if they have someone with mending, it's like, yeah, your bowstring snaps and it's all done, at the end of the battle. But, I was like, let's do that. And then I had one player that rolled natural ones constantly to the point where I just felt so bad,
You buy them new dice at that point.
Yeah, no, he's just unlucky. He's gone
Oh.
through so many dice sets. He just has poor luck. He'll literally be rolling dice constantly, hoping that it like messes with the gods of chance or whatever.
Do you play with Will Wheaton?
Yeah. Will Wheaton.
In fact, every time I've seen Will Wheaton playing tabletop games on stream, he is the worst roller, the most unlucky human there is.
Is he?
Yeah.
He-
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's legendary. It's legendary. It's entertaining. I mean, he makes it entertaining when he does it. But yeah,
Of
he's
course.
um, the uh, the the thing I'll say about I'm not so I know that Mac and I and are kind of we clash on that one on the
Mm.
fumble natural one creating a failure because it means that 5% of the time you're putting yourself in a bad spot. How are you still alive when you're putting yourself in harm's way as an adventurer like that constantly?
Right.
I could see some like flavor text, something like you almost lose your grip on the sword, but I can't see like weapons breaking or I mean if you can shatter your weapon 5% of the time or worse, that's a bad day.
Right. And I
Yes.
learned my lesson quickly, whereas like,
Yeah.
okay, let's tone that down a little.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I still think if you're getting, great success with a natural 20, you should get great
Yeah.
badness.
Well,
Now,
Borat impressions are bad.
I'm
So.
a
I
big fan
could
of like
see that.
the critical
Go ahead.
fumbles like chart where it's weighted to where the main things are going to be you disarmed yourself or you've slipped or something, but then there is
Right.
still the possibility of you've really slipped and you've stabbed your carotid artery. Have fun,
You're
Yeah.
bleeding. Oh.
So
or that kind of. I like that spread. It adds a little bit more danger to the game.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm bigger on seeing those kinds of things on like skill checks, you know.
Criticals don't matter on skill checks. Come on,
Right,
Robbie.
exactly. That's the thing,
If you
though.
roll a one when you're picking a lock, you snapped your pick.
Right.
You know, that kind of stuff does happen more often than not. So,
So before we start talking about the heist, though, any other creative hobbies, outlets, or do you play any other types of nerdy games, or do you paint or?
Oh,
macrame?
yeah. Well, I was just playing Crusader Kings 3, which, if anyone knows that,
With Sir Barrington?
fantastic, just amazing. I haven't played previous ones, but it's really good. But yeah, actually on painting, I do Warhammer 40K.
Ooh.
I main Necrons, which 9th edition. Love me my Silent King. Can't wait to get him when he shows up.
So what's your
You know,
Necron dynasty?
The Nihilak. Yeah, Nihilak.
Okay.
Where if you don't move, you get a rerolls on ones for shooting. So basically, I'm just a firing line,
Yeah,
and it's
they
just
have that.
choo-choo-choo-choo.
They have that new
Well,
codex coming
Necron-
out shortly too. So I'm sure you're excited about that to give them actual
Yeah,
ninth edition
codex.
rules.
God, reanimation protocol after every attack on a squad, like they're not going down.
Yeah, that's
plasma cannons. That's the only thing I can say.
Yeah,
Plasma. You got to do that death that's not recoverable.
Yeah, you got to turn them to
Yeah.
slag. It's gonna be horrible.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to talk about 40K because I play Tau.
That's
No,
fair.
all right.
Get out of
The
here.
Tau are, they're not grim dark, and that's okay. I think they add to a nice aesthetic.
Yeah.
They are grimdark though. They're like what happens when communism goes too far.
Well, they just
That's
recently
kinda
changed the Tau lore to where there is in fact some like evil overlord who's like doing mind manipulation things on the entire population. I was like, well, why would you do that? Come on, guys. It was
They had to make something. They had to make it grimdark.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because it was already grimdark. Just people didn't recognize it as such.
right.
The laughing god had to go somewhere else, I guess.
Everyone gets everything equally is pretty grimdark, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
Well, that may explain why. Well, we won't get into that until later. That's another tabletop game discussion for another time. But
So, you know what? I'm actually super excited to hear you play Crusader Kings 3. I love Paradox's grand strategy games. I'm very
Yes.
excited about the upcoming Vampire grand strategy game because oh my god.
Oh wait. Okay, I do know what you're talking about now.
Yes, they. So Paradox is the game company that is the corporate overlords of White Wolf now.
Ooh.
oh, really?
Yes.
So, CCP, yeah, sold it off.
Yes.
Oh.
In fact, they sold
Reed's excited.
more than just the White Wolf licenses and properties. They sold the actual MMO as well.
Hot diggity.
I didn't know there was
There's
a Vampire MMO.
no word that Paradox is going to try and bring the MMO back to life, so please don't say that I said that. But they
Well,
have said that they're working on a vampire setting version of their grand strategy games. And anybody who plays the Paradox grand strategy game knows what that means. And for those of you that don't, think about if you took a real-time strategy game and just cranked it up to 22.
Ooh, that's like double 11.
Yes.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah, I've spent a number of hours trying to learn Hearts of Iron 4. I don't know how to play that game still. I play
It's okay.
it
Nobody does.
That's like me and Stellaris. Someone's like, "Hey, you got to get into this." I'm like, "I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm going back to FTL."
Stellaris is another Paradox grand strategy game.
Yeah.
But they're famously deep, and they just constantly get deeper with every DLC. And I have a feeling. So Crusader Kings 2 was perilously deep.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So.
Am I wrong?
So
Is that the one
hopefully-
with Sir Barrington? Like it turns out
Yes.
that the king is actually a bear or something like that?
You can become a bear in Crusader Kings 2, and then you can go through the entire Sir Barrington plotline in character in game. Yeah, it's very much.
I remember
yeah.
you posting pictures about that. That was
Yes.
in the Discord. That was a riot. Yeah.
Yes. So Crusader Kings 3 is the spiritual and also literal successor. It is thus far. Paradox guys, I don't know why that you keep messing with the UI, but stop. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I had a friend who was working on like the Civilization games, and when I mentioned, it's like, "Hey, I really enjoyed." I think 5 had just dropped when I was talking to her. I was like,
Yep.
I enjoyed 5, but it doesn't feel like old Civilization. She just got huffy. She's like, "No, it's we have to change everything, but we have to also keep it the same, and it's impossible. There's literally no pleasing fans." I was like, "Okay, no, I see what you're doing. So I'm gonna go buy a
Again,
beard. You want
My
one?"
opinion. My opinion. Yeah. So, you already talked a little bit about how you got hooked up with Duval and the crew.
Yeah.
What kind of prep do you do before you sit down for a session? Because I know that what we do on our show is probably not what you guys do.
For the heist,
Yes.
for how do you get
For the
into
heist?
Elias's mindset there? Because I can
I
imagine.
literally I just do the voice as
Oh,
I go
okay.
about my morning.
Yeah, he does. That's exactly what he does, man. Like, cause like
I just-
he's in character.
Arias, he talks like this, and I go and I brush my teeth, and oh, what a beautiful day. Let's get those canines sparkling white.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
And
that's
then he's
fair.
got the ears.
yes.
Yeah. The ears clip
The
on.
kitty ears.
Yeah, they clip
And then
on.
I do my makeup. I wear makeup, not for my home campaign, or for the stream not for Paradise.
Paradise,
I don't do makeup for Paradise. I leave that to my female co-star Shannon. But for Orias, it's necessary because like I just remember, I don't know who said it first. Someone was like, "Oh, like we should do a little cosplay dress up, as our characters." And I was like, "Okay, for a one shot that makes." Wait, I'm a Tabaxi,
No.
and you want me to do this? Like, are you kidding me?
You picked
And then
it.
I was like, you know what?
Then you gotta
Challenge
steal
accepted.
steal
So-
the cat ears your little sister had stored in the
So-
attic.
So
Yeah,
it was
definitely didn't order them.
it was the palm diggity because we expected Shannon to come out how she did, and I knew I was going to come out the way I did. So I like flip on and Shannon's there, and then Anna pops in, and Anna's like dressed up too, like Shannon, like because they're playing twins, and I'm like, holy
Yeah.
crap, wow,
It's pretty good.
And
They
then
did a
Orion-
pretty good job.
yeah, and then because they worked. Well, we'll talk to them next week, but they'll tell you how they did that. But like, and then Arias pops in, and we're like, holy crap, man! You've got like makeup, you've got ears, you're obnoxious. This is
You're
perfect.
obnoxious.
It was no, absolutely. I mean, like Ren's obnoxious. Arias takes it to next level.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
like cat paws. For the longest time, I thought this was just like whole gloves.
No,
Like
Oh
hobo gloves?
no!
dude,
Special order from Amazon, baby.
Nice.
$8.
Yeah,
Worth it? Probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna have the warmest palms come the winter.
And the best part is the way his beard and his mustache is perfect for that. I
Yeah,
mean,
you,
it just
you look like a
absolutely
cat. I don't want to trust. That's
Mr. Mistopheles, yeah.
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 And then what was it? So running it back there, hang on a second, because like we talked a little bit about how we prep for that, but how do you guys prep for Paradise? Like, what are you guys doing there? That's actually kind of interesting too.
Oh.
Before the cameras roll, like we typically check in at least 30 minutes beforehand, sometimes up to an hour beforehand, and we're doing.
And then Joe and I get into epistemological debates about modern religion.
Or
So-
other complex discussions.
I
you
turn
know.
my
Right,
camera
yeah.
on and I leave the room.
Yeah, Mac ignores us. So does Prem.
Yeah.
Well, you guys sound like you have a much better
Oh,
ritual than we do.
Big assumptions there.
Yeah,
Big
that's
assumptions.
So if we're lucky, we'll start the call half an hour early. And it just depends if someone has something that they want to say. But usually it's like 15, maybe 10 minutes. Our DM's scrambling to set everything up because he works at a college. And he's got long days now with like, the corona and everything, dealing with that. And he's an advisor, so dealing with students, dealing with that. So he's always just just, all right, I'm going to meet you guys, but I'm doing, I got it. Like, don't worry. Recently, I don't know if you all are familiar with Blaseball.
Blaseball?
Yeah,
is that
I
like
don't know how to
basketball?
describe it, so I'm not going to.
Okay.
If Clayton was here, one of my castmates, he would be like, Stefan, how dare you?
It's what if somebody put all of Major League Baseball into a simulator and just ran that?
Yeah, but
That's-
it's more chaotic.
Like
much
all
more
of them on the field at once, or
It's,
So-
it's just a Moneyball simulator?
there you go.
Kind
Yes.
of. Yeah. And you bet on the teams, but it's just pure chaos. And since it started one by one, people have gotten on. I was the last one, and I'm still not totally hooked on it. But we basically just talk about that. And then someone will be like, hey, did we like do this thing last session? And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. But like, Roger's cat just scored a home run because I think one of the players' names is just Roger's cat. I don't know. It's pure chaos, but fun.
That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. So that's our warm up. There's no like talking about what the characters are doing or anything. Maybe if we're lucky we get that. And then we usually just tease our DM and be like, how long is your recap going to be this week? It usually averages 15 to 20 minute recaps.
We don't let Reed recap at all. We're pretty brutal.
No, that's not entirely true.
He
but
does get
certainly our
monologue
recaps are-
sometimes.
What? You're monologuing again, DM. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because my voice is good. Listen to it, right?
Shut up.
Listen to me talk all
Yeah.
night.
Either listen or take an aneurysm.
Yeah.
Stop it, or I'll start talking like Caleb Durer.
So I gotta know, man. Having watched apparently 3/4 of the heist, I'm surprised that I've watched that much. But
Oh, wow, that
no-
hurt.
no offense.
He's busy, that's-
It's one of those things that I was like, I don't really intend to watch this, but I'm going to be on there to do the moderating thing, and I end up watching it. Where does Arias come from? Like, what are you cribbing from? What are the? And please don't say cats, but like,
I think
where
his
is his character being built out of?
I think his question can be boiled down to how dare you? And
How
Angelical cats, angelical cats.
Oh, we were doing that too.
How
We did that behind the scenes.
Lord.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you guys did because the first hour of Orias was getting very strong Cats vibes.
see, I was getting Khajiit out of that one. That's where I was.
So yes. So the concept for Orias was Khajiit from Elder Scrolls.
Okay.
Khajiit has wares. But then and this is like a weird little thing. I don't know how it got lodged in my head. But if anyone has ever played Resident Evil 4, the character, I always forget his name. He's a Spaniard, and he's like the guy that's helping out Leon. And there's one line where he goes, "A little rough, don't you think?" And that's how Arias got his thing. And I just built it from there. In hindsight, I was watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars the other day, and I realized that he is just Hondo from that series, and I was like, oh, all right. It works.
So the accent plus Hondo's personality. And,
Yeah.
To be entirely fair, Hondo is literally every scoundrel.
Right, exactly. And so it's not like he's unique in that, but like just the way he talks and his mannerisms, I was like, oh shit, that's just Hondo.
So I'm sorry. Get back up a second. There's a character in the Star Wars universe who is just a generic scoundrel, like Lando Calrissian or Han Solo, whose name is Hondo.
Yes.
Is Hondo Onasian, I think?
Yes.
Hondo is great because at one point Hondo introduces himself as Lando Calrissian.
Yes.
Cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
that's Orias.
how much prep and like backstory do you actually have for him? It's just like, yeah, he's a cat thief. It's great. We'll figure it out later.
That's exactly right.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize that the setting for this was going to be in the Forgotten Realms. And like I've always been like, hey, that's something I should learn. I read Dragonlance as a kid. But I still don't know the world that well. But I was like, oh, and then like read over here is like, oh, it's from Meztica, whatever, and like all this other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever you say, man. I'm from across the sea.
All
Yeah,
came
there
out
was
session 0. We were trying to just tweak, make sure we didn't break any lore
right.
terribly.
Terribly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was literally just the concept is he's a treasure hunter extraordinaire. Like his whole thing is like I always like basing my characters around the concept of D&D, which is Dungeons and Dragons. So they all want to explore dungeons, and they probably have some kind of interest in dragons. Dragons don't play a role in this, so we can ignore that. But
that we know of.
Surprise, it's all giant dragon.
Secretly, dragons are behind everything. Which is the actual meta plot of Shadowrun, by the way.
Oh, okay. Taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just like, dungeon, treasure. He's a treasure hunter. Like, that's his whole shtick. He just came over and started, like, dungeon diving, and then, I just built onto it, and he was like, oh, well, once you start getting treasure, rich people are like, hey, come to my house and share in that wealth. And then he was like, oh, I'll come make friends with you, and then I'll just steal your treasure, but make you think that, whatever. I don't know. Like, somehow the whole concept is he makes friends while he just keeps getting more and more stuff.
That's really the dream, I think. That's
Getting friends while acquiring stuff, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to pay money.
He's
to hang out
living
with these kids.
the Neverwinter dream. Reed got it was like an American dream.
Yeah, I got you.
I have to explain my jokes, otherwise I feel like people won't get them.
So looking back at the 2 sessions of the heist that you guys have run through now, like what stands out to you? What are those big moments?
Well, Duval's just
he's in chat, by the way. He's watching.
Yeah.
We've gotten
Is
a couple
he?
Duval.
He's gotten a couple of Duvals and he's very appreciative. So
yes,
Thank you.
His characters are just over the top amazing. I love them, and just like the seemingly randomness of the encounters, where it's like they happen, and then I think back to him, I was like, oh wait, like I can see. And I mean, to be fair, he's also explained parts of his thinking process to us. But I'm like,
for the
okay,
stuff that's already happened, we still have no idea
right.
what's actually going to happen.
Oh yeah, we have no idea. And like that's also what I like is that for the Paradise stream, like I can kind of like see like a linear narrative that's being built, and I can kind of be like, all right, these are end goals that we'll probably meet. Here are arcs or whatever, stuff like that. But with this, it's just I'm like I have no idea, and it's exciting, it's fun, and then it makes me just think like, how can I also add some chaotic energy to this? So stay tuned.
Okay.
And see what Orias has in store.
Oh my!
It's probably nothing.
I'm scared to death now.
I found a golden thing over there. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. He just wanders off.
Well,
He's like, oh.
we've been sent to find one thing, but that doesn't mean there's not other things in this mansion at some point.
Right. And if this one thing is so coveted, why should they have it?
Fair point. Yeah, I mean, if it is worth it, someone else paying
Asking
you a
the
blank
most
check,
important question in RPGs.
maybe someone else will pay more for this. Yeah, very fair. So
I don't know about paying. It's not about payment. It's about having what other people want.
I love it. I love it. So, and because he is in the chat, where do you think he's going to be taking you next? Or what are you expecting or hoping to have happen in the next?
He's definitely watching. I can see him typing up.
Where is Jacob taking you besides obviously some sort of murder room?
Because I'm operating on the assumption the third episode's not written and you're giving him ideas right now.
I mean, I don't know why, but I just think that somehow we're gonna end up in like a different plane of existence, and it's just gonna be like, I have no idea. There's this whole subplot about warring like cults, you know, trying to assume control, and like the mayor is part of it, and I'm just like, okay. But where will that put us? And I can just see, like, we get it, and it's all like hunky-dory, and like we make our escape, and it's like, all right, cool, and then all of a sudden, like, some demonic prince or something just shows up. It's like, hey, I'm gonna need that back. And we're just like, and then it's like, all right, do we give it to him? Do we keep it and go, no, we got to give it to fucking whatever the guy's name is,
Larshell.
Yeah, Larshell.
Yeah.
Or do we just, you know, get out of Dodge?
Find a way to destroy it.
Destroy it.
Or
No.
find a way to escape with it and get paid ridiculous amounts of money. What's the story?
Yeah, Jacob, what is the story?
Come on, Jacob. Tell us
Oh, he's
the story.
laughing at us. He's laughing at us in chat right now.
I'm waiting, Jacob. Tell me the story.
Yes.
Duval, tell me your secrets.
Reveal all to no, don't, please don't reveal anything.
No,
don't. The anticipation is literally giving me heartburn.
Is there a particular like moment that stands out as like the most entertaining for you?
Ooh. I don't know. There's been a lot. You know what? That what was he? Halfling? The halfling that comes
Boo,
through.
J.J. Abrams, boo. So for the audience that doesn't have access to our chat, Jacob, the DM for the heist, just said that the plot twist is that it's all a dream.
Nah.
You don't get to make that call. You're a player.
Nah. There's no way. It's a dream. It's way too vivid. Way too vivid.
But yeah,
I spent real money. Real gold. My character spent gold.
Yeah. But yes, the halfling rogue that walks into our what he thought was abandoned structure, and then just the chaos that ensued, and like I just remember like being just shocked, and like I couldn't get into character. I was like, Orias probably would have reacted much differently, but I was just like, what? And then I was just like, okay, all right, let's just, you know, get back in, okay, and go. But yeah, that was.
You didn't hiss at him at all, like as a cat. You know, like Maxie. I mean, you know, something nice like that. Maybe a twitch.
Right.
No,
you know, I definitely have been not hissing as much as I should, or meowing, but I also don't want people to think that, you know. Yeah. There it is.
You know what?
I look at tabaxi
You
as
know
like
what?
big cats, like jaguars and stuff. And they don't really hiss or meow. They just sort of growl and yell.
Right. Yeah.
They roar.
Yeah.
No, they'll definitely hiss. They'll definitely hiss. They don't meow though. They definitely don't do that. What about? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Reed.
What was it about the halfling that made it for you? I mean, like that was a big Duval scene. So, like, what was it? Like,
it was a big Duval scene.
The shock was there, but then, like, why was that? Is it because of the shock, or is it because of what followed?
Oh, what followed? It was like, okay, like here's this, you know, benign occurrence that, like, you know, is kind of like, I could already tell from the start of it. I was like, this is not anything important, but like at the same time, like it's led to so much, and it led to so much like character interaction. Just having you know, Shannon's character Rowan just immediately stab him in the hand, boom, right there.
Well, throw him in the window. Yeah. You know, he couldn't
exactly.
move at that point. Yeah.
You know, and then throwing him on the table. You know, Reed's, you know, kind of interrogation, and then even Anna, she it was with the hole and everything, and I was just like, it kind of got a little dark. And then the second one is at the doorway, and then just Jacob like as the halfling, just like being pathetic, like, please, no, no, no. And then knowing my co-star Shannon, like very kind-hearted, which is all right, cool, I guess.
In
But
real
we really
life.
but we like that black heart.
Yeah.
Where she was just like, as she said, like, this is killing Shannon, but Rowan is like totally okay with everything happening. It was a lot, and it was great, and it was good. And like I said, it was this benign occurrence that became so big and like almost a focal point. Like that's what people will remember about episode 2 of the heist.
Yeah.
That, nothing else. Because that's all I remember. No, I'm just kidding. I remember everything. I have my notes. Don't worry, I have my notes.
So you do take notes when you're playing?
Oh yeah, no, I am a very diligent player. Actually, I probably take more notes as a player than I do as a DM.
I mean,
Fun fact.
Okay, I don't
if
really
you do
for
prep
either.
right, you don't have to take any notes, right? Right?
True.
Right?
Well,
I've got a one note because I have to go back and refer to every NPC they've ever met that actually is going to last or possibly be bumped into again at
I
some
don't
point.
remember them anyway.
How?
Yeah,
how,
but I have to make sure the names aren't different every time you talk to them.
how many buttercups do you have in your OneNote now?
Buttercups?
Yes.
fill me up.
All of our horses are named Buttercup.
Oh, the horse names. Yeah, I leave that to you to remember because they're your horses.
So
But
we're getting some great stuff in chat here. So we have Jacob just said it's definitely one of my favorite encounters you guys had encounters in a long time. Y'all put it to another fucking level, yo. Yeah, because when he was on last week, he was saying, yeah, it's just a thing I'm going to throw in there at some point to spice it up, and you guys made it a whole thing.
Right.
And then Dirt Track chick out there just says she takes better notes for D&D than for college.
My undergrad, I would agree with that. Grad school, no.
yeah. Grad school is all about synthesizing new data, new ideas. New
Oh
content.
yeah.
I was I guess, obsessive compulsive when it came to taking notes in class, only because I never did any of the reading.
I did the exact opposite. I would just
Yeah.
read all the material and then like doze through class.
Yeah, I remember sleeping through college, and then I started actually looking at how much each individual session costs. Like, no, this nap is not worth $150. Like,
Good way to put it in perspective.
yeah.
I mean, you mentioned going back to some of the architecture stuff and how it's kind of pushed into your home game a little bit too. Can you kind of tell us, like, when you were going through grad school, have you actually used some of your, and I don't want to try to steer this in any particular way, so let me try to word this a little differently. The challenges and stuff that you get going through grad school, which is always rough on anybody who's ever had to do it, especially in the time that you have to get it done reasonably if you want to get done. Have you found that some of the things you learn in grad school is conveyed over to how you prep or you do your Dungeons and Dragons games or anything like that? Or
I mean, I don't do a lot of adventure modules, but the ones that I have done, I know how to get all the important information out of that in like an hour. If grad school taught me one thing, it's how to gut a book.
Okay.
And I can go in there, I can see everything I need to know, and then boom. Like, I don't need to know the layout necessarily or, whatever, but I know the important characters, the, encounters and stuff like that, and I can make it work.
Are you fully sighted? Are you using the Chicago Turbian method? The APA?
Yes, Chicago. Only Chicago.
Okay.
As
Man
historian.
The man is a scientist, Reed.
But then,
Yeah.
of course, I'm also an archaeologist, and they do MLA, so it's like I'm writing reports for work, and I'm like, this hurts to put parenthetical citations, but I have to.
Yeah.
It hurts.
I feel you, man. I do.
Yeah.
So, now that we're back talking a little bit about Paradise, are you willing to talk a little bit more about it? I know this is,
Sure.
Yeah, we're all over the place. Let's do this.
Yeah, tell me. So I've only seen, I think, one episode of Paradise at this point. Like, what's the campaign concept?
Ooh.
That's a good question. So it's
from
basically
your perspective, obviously, as a
Right.
player. Yeah.
Just remind everybody what you play exactly on Paradise. That might
Right.
be
So I play Kiran Islastana. He's an Elysian elf. Elysian being a homebrew of my DMs. It's just moon elves. I'm a moon elf. But cleric, I used the Twilight domain that was UA. I started knowledge domain, which my character sheet was all messed up because of that. But then I switched to Twilight when it came out, and I'm very looking forward to Tasha's Cauldron of Everything to see how they change it, if they change it. I think it's pretty
I think they
balanced.
will. They'll, or at least make it more slightly balanced, or a little bit of polish on it, basically.
Right, yeah. So I'm interested to see that. But yeah, so Twilight domain, I worship a dead goddess that is, there is a Godsmack of the world, that cataclysmic event, that kind of lingers in the D&D universes. But basically our adventurers are just, we all have our own personal quests that, we linked up in this random town of druids, and fate, or as my character likes to say, my goddess has brought us together for a purpose. And we're going through, and we're learning of the big bad guy who's a chained god, and it's very it's a merging of intrigue of human politics and the larger world of D&D planes and magic and gods and all that kind of stuff. And it's kind of these two levels and how they interact. I guess
Yeah.
is the gist of it.
Yeah, sounds cool.
So, the concept sounds awesome. To be honest with you, very
Yeah.
reminiscent of the old epic fantasy novels.
Right.
When
Yeah, and
when is the Paradise RPG streaming so that we can direct our fans how to find you?
of course, oh no, I don't remember. No, I'm just kidding. It's Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Though really we start at 7:10. So I don't want you sitting there for 10 minutes. Though our wait screen's pretty nice. All thanks to our tech guy Alex, who plays Timber on the stream, whose wife actually, spoiler alert if you're catching up, but if you're never gonna watch, like I would never watch our stream. What? No, I'm just kidding. His wife just died, so good reason to come in and say hey. Spoiler alert, by the way. Did I say that? Yeah, spoiler alert.
Are you talking about somebody's real life wife?
No.
No, oh god, no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that'd be a really
Yeah.
flippant way to say that.
The character Timber's wife.
It's like
Yes.
my castmate, his spouse just died.
No,
so,
all my
anyway.
castmates' family are well and good as far
Okay.
as I know.
Oh,
Reed,
My
it's going to a
apologies.
dark place, man.
I was listening, but I must have missed a key segment in there.
No, I honestly miss words and say things incorrectly a lot, so
Don't button.
Okay.
So, what are you doing off camera these days? Do you still play off camera?
yeah, I'm still doing my home campaign. It's a very I wanted to try to do a return to like a D&D style where it's like, this is a dungeon delve. Your characters might die. Inspired by Matt Colville.
Well,
That's-
Yeah, it's not quite there, but we're getting.
Mac, didn't you bring up something last week?
I've brought up so many things on that front. If you're interested and you want to keep using the, this isn't a plug. I'm not sponsored. I'm just a fan. I'm currently running a AD&D style, but using 5th edition rules, using some of the stuff that's been brought up by Goodman Games. I believe it's calling Original Adventures Reincarnated. The first one is Into the Borderlands, and it's just the Keep on the Borderlands and In the Search for the Unknown ported up for 5th edition. Because a few months, years, weeks, days ago, I don't know, a while ago, I ran the Tomb of Horrors out of Tale of the Yawning Portal. And I was not a fan of that port. Because it was basically a direct port using the new mechanics that didn't mesh well. Goodman Games did a really, really good one. So if you're looking to sort of get that vibe, there are 4 books out now.
I thought it was 5.
The 5th one's coming out in October. It's going to be Castle Amber.
There you go.
Yep.
So if you know anything about old school D&D, these are those modules. They've just been updated for 5th edition by a team. It's very clearly a passion project.
They're not thin like the original modules either. These things are like tomes.
Yeah, they're about 300 to 400 pages each.
Right.
The
They're
original
like,
Keep on the Borderlands was 180 pages, if I remember correctly.
No, not at all.
Or was it 64?
It's small, but it's or
Yeah.
smaller than this. But it's cool.
It was a
shows you the original
64.
ones.
Sorry, yeah, it was a 64 pager.
Yeah, it shows you the
I-
original stuff, but then it also tells you the 5e stuff. So if you're looking to try and bring that vibe, I recommend checking them out. I'm running a campaign right now, and everyone seems to be enjoying themselves.
I will have to, because the less prep I have to do, the better.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's actually available on DM's Guild for like maps that someone has hooked up. So you can, if you're doing a digital game, you can put it onto to Fantasy Grounds or Roll20 or something. We're having some problems getting stuff to match up perfectly, like line up the grid squares, but
Yeah.
whatever. Who cares?
I agree with Mac that if you are a fan of old school RPG stuff, or you're simply old like some of us, what Goodman's Games is doing is really fantastic. Especially with porting the old adventures forward, and not just porting them forward to say, hey, now they're compatible with 5e. They're really recreating them to work in a modern game style.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check them out. It's exactly the vibe I'm going for.
Yeah, it's a fun time. So you have your old school game that you're running. Is it taking place in the Forgotten Realms, or are you just on a planet that no one knows about?
It's my own little homebrew place. You know, I just figured it was easier to be like, you know, hand waving things like, that doesn't matter, and my players are like, oh, okay.
I'm doing that
But
too.
really, it's like, okay, remember that thing I said doesn't matter? Actually,
Surprise.
you just come back next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just my own homebrew stuff. Nothing too crazy.
That's probably the easiest for like home campaigns. When you go back to afterwards to rewrite the entire like campaign journal, you're like, oh my goodness, this place went quite wild.
Yeah.
So, I guess let's get to the final and most important question.
Yeah, we are running out of
Besides
time.
Paradise, besides the heist, any future plans for streaming projects?
I'm doing.
You can't mention what I already talked to you about. You can't mention it.
I wasn't going to.
Well,
Yeah,
now,
so there is
now we
one
need to hear. You've leaked. Come on.
No, it hasn't leaked yet.
I'm actually Orias is doing a solo heist. No, not really.
No.
I actually have a one-shot planned with Misrolled Adventures. They're one of the other groups out there. Very interesting concept. Super excited. I don't know if I can say what it is, but let's just say we're gonna go from level 3 to level 11 in one session. So.
It's just going to be 3 hours of people updating their character sheets.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's. I think it's not. I don't know if it's
faster.
Oh, haven't hit 6 yet. Oh God.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, in chat, Jacob's saying I would run the heck out of an Arias solo heist. Just saying.
Yes.
All right, Jacob, let's be in talks. But yeah, so I'm doing a one shot with them where I haven't finalized it, but I'm doing a Tempest sorcerer,
Ooh.
naval captain, tiefling most likely, where he's just gonna be the idea is there's this mystery island
Oh.
that we're going to. It's an expedition funded by the Navy Empire, I guess. So I was like, oh, captain that wants to become an admiral. He's like, let's go explore this, see what he can do.
Sounds like a fun time.
Sounds awesome, man. And obviously, there's some secret project that you can't talk about.
I wasn't even gonna mention that, but of course Reed comes in here because he's like, oh no, I want people to know something is coming.
Yeah, you've caught my marketing majesty yet again.
You're not welcome on the
I
show
mean,
anymore,
it's a
man.
good
You're gonna pull
ploy.
this
It's-
nonsense.
I think that it'll be kind of fun to see Arias again. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
My, this is really good. Delicious.
Well,
Don't mind me, just drinking my tea.
Yeah, just drinking my tea. It's don't
none of
mind
my
me.
business.
Mhm.
Well, thank you
So,
so much for showing up here, Stefan. It's
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun talking to you, and it's
It was
been
my pleasure.
over an hour at this point when we booked you for 45 minutes. So my apologies.
Oh, I didn't even realize there was a time limit. I was just gonna go until someone told me to stop talking.
Yeah, we have the cane coming out of the screen now. It's like, oh, we have to pass you off.
You're doing fine, Stefan. Don't let these try to make you think like you gotta go. You can stay as long as you want. We're just gonna shut the show down
Yeah,
around
I gotta go to bed.
you. You know.
That's fair.
So yeah, again, thank you so much for showing up. Again,
Oh, no,
Paradise
thank you for the
RPGs,
invite.
is on Mondays at 7:30. You said, or I'm sorry, 7.
Yep,
maybe
7:10
7:10.
is when you
7:10.
should show up to Paradise RPG. Well, I guess it's twitch.tv/Paradise RPG.
Yeah.
At 7:10 Mondays Eastern Standard Time. To see me be totally different. I'm just a very calm, collected person.
Could be fun. And
Sounds like
kind of boring.
acting.
Acting.
Yes. So, and when is the next episode? The last episode, I guess, of the heist. That's next weekend.
The last episode is September 26th.
Yeah, 26 September
Gotcha.
should be same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Starts and it goes until it's done, I guess, in this particular one because it's the last episode. So we got
Yeah.
we're under kind of time crunch, I think, at this point because the certain things have been set in motion. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing how that all plays out. It should be a good time, right?
I would expect nothing less from this cast.
Yeah, it's a good one. And next week we have Shannon and Anna are going to be on here, and we're going to be talking to them about their experiences on it and do one last hype for the heist. So it should be fun.
Hype for the hype.
And you're welcome to anytime you want to come on and talk news or any of the weird RPG
my God,
stuff we
thank
debate. You just let us know, and we'll be more than happy to shoot you an invite.
Yeah, translucent dice or solid color dice.
Oh,
Which
come on now.
is the best dice? That is another debate we can have next time you're on.
Reed doesn't
I
understand.
actually
the
make my
point of
own
debate.
dice out of bone knuckles.
Nice. That's illegal now, though.
They're not human.
Oh,
Oh,
excellent. That's
chimpanzee.
totally legal then.
Yeah, they're made of elves.
Rare mountain gorilla.
Rare elf bone dice. Yeah.
All right, so I think we're going to just go ahead and end it there. Everybody,
a
thank
good
you so much
point,
for joining us. Tomorrow night we're running what are we running? We're on DCC again tomorrow. We're going to be doing level 1 stuff. So check that out, 7 p.m. And Velkin Weave is away for one more week. So we're going to be running some more DCC. Then Thursday we have another episode of Whiskey, Magic, and Destruction, 7 p.m. again. We're still in the Graven Hollow Library, finding all sorts of spooky books.
Hopefully, it will not just be us reading books. I have a feeling that it'll be a lot more interesting than that.
Mental note: need to do some extra work.
Oh.
Players want to read.
3
Question mark?
hours of research in a stream. Oh yeah,
It's a
that's gonna be mag.
You know what? Let's crowdsource some of this. Join us on Discord and tell us what you think Reed should do with 3 hours other than have us research.
Mariah,
Make his
6
own
hours of
Dewey
research.
Decimal System.
you know, I could have you on, Stefan, tomorrow or Thursday, and have you be a professor, helping them cite their work and stuff like that. Do you really wanna make-
Yes, well, you'll want to cross-reference that with, Furiatos. I hear that he's quite the expert on
Ooh.
transmutation.
Oh shit! Don't help Edgar now, man.
No,
That's
I'm
gonna be-
loving everything that's happening here. All right, guys, I have to go to bed, so
Thank you, guys.
cast and
Bye
crew,
bye.
thank you so much. Everyone out there, have a great night. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.